Hi, team. Welcome to 10 Talks. Today's conversation is all about you and mind management. How do we manage our mind to really set us up to achieve the things that matter to us in our life? And our guest today is Kerry Graham. She is an expert and committed to just the joy of being on the journey of understanding our brain, our mind, how it works, why we do what we do. And today's topic is all about single focus for peak performance, why it matters that we're intentional about what we're focused on to achieve peak performance. So, Kerry, thank you so much for the gift of connecting with you today. We'd love to start with the power of your story and just a bit about who you are and why this topic matters so much to you.
Okay, so I am a golf professional by training and profession, and played high school, junior, a little professionally, but primarily I've been a teacher, and I've been very, very interested in the mental side of golf. And the book that I did write was The Power of Mental Golf, and some of this is in that book, and some of it is new since I wrote it in 2016. But where the point at which I've gotten, because I continue to try to grow as a teacher so that the people that want to use my services get great benefit. And I have golfers that are very, very good golfers, professionals and amateurs. But when they come to me, they'll say things like, I don't know how my golf brain works, or I get distracted in the last three holes of the round, or I'm a much better player than the players that are beating me. And so I want to help them find out how to use and manage their brain. And then when I have beginners, I start them right from day one. I do a class for the ASU Law School, and I start them right from day one, getting used to the fact that they need to be single focused. And here's why. The brain works in such a way that when you have a thought, let me have you do this thing that I do with my kids or my students. Okay, I'm going to say some words. You don't have to memorize them. It's not a memory test. I'll just ask you your reaction afterward. A red rose, a brown dog running by the river, an elephant, the brown dog sitting on the elephant, the brown dog sitting on the elephant with a red rose in its mouth. Now, those were all different images. They were pretty easy to get because they're familiar things. Every time you brought an image up in your brain, you had electrical and chemical activity in your brain. It happened, and its synapses were connecting to bring that image up. You have that kind of activity every time you talk, every time you think, every time you notice something. You have physical activity of electrical and chemical motion. And if you repeat it a lot of times, like tying your shoes, then it gets wrapped, that repetition of thought gets wrapped by what we call myelin. It's like a white string. And if they do open brain surgery, they can see these myelinated places in the brain. And in fact, they think now, and they're doing a lot of research, that when dementia happens, because you lose myelination. And that's why most people who have dementia don't have a good current memory, but they have long time back memory because those myelinations were very extensive and the new ones aren't. And so that's what they lose first. So what I've started to realize is that for sports, but also for life, if you're overthinking, every time you have that thought or that doubt or that second thought, like, well, maybe I shouldn't do it that way, maybe I'll do it this way, and you're not committed to the path you thought you wanted to go on, okay, it's okay. You can change your mind, and we often do that, but it'll create this chemical electrical path in your brain. So as I was working with some of my good golfers and I would explain this to them, one of them said, oh, that's the electrical storm. And if you think about it, if you're standing over the golf ball and you're thinking about your backswing, your feet, your arms, your target, the weather, I mean, all those things can be going through your mind at the same time, and that's an electrical storm. That distracts the piece of your brain that's myelinated for the golf swing or the putt or the chip. It distracts it, interferes with it, and won't let it come naturally. That's why reactive sports like basketball, you throw a ball to somebody, their only option, if they have people around them, is to throw it, dribble it, or shoot it. And they don't stand there and think because they had been kind of planning if it was their
Right.
turn. Right, Miss Basketball Player?
Yeah, we definitely have that response that happens immediately. So,
And if you stand there and think, they surround you and grab the ball, don't they?
Yeah, it's not gonna be a good moment, so
Right.
yes.
So that electrical storm will distract and interrupt with what the natural process that you want to have happen. And so in life, let's say you're at a business meeting and you think you know that you ought to speak up now in relation to the conversation that's going on, and you've worked upon it and you've thought about it, but you're a little anxious and so you don't and you miss that opportunity. Or as it starts to come out of your mouth, you think, oh, maybe I'm wrong, and then you blunder it. So in life, it's the same thing. Once you are in the process of conversation or a thought process, go ahead, go through it, keep it. Don't start trying to fix it before it's even out of your being, and let other people supply you input. Ask for feedback. And then you can resolve and refine that procedure that you thought you were going to use. What do you think? Do you think that that's true, that too many thoughts, overthinking is detrimental to behavior?
Well, I really value what you said in terms of it being an electrical storm. I feel like distractions really take us off task, and our life is really full of distractions right now. There's so many choices that we are distracted by what really matters to us, what's important. And I want to anchor in when I think about our athletes. I want to talk about volleyball for a minute in terms of, when volleyball's happening and there's so many choices and you're waiting for the serve to come and or you're waiting for your hit to be set up for you, your brain can go into that electrical storm. It can be thinking about so many things. One of our winning strategies are I am statements, and you being able to tell your brain one single focus. I am hitting down line. I am blocking this. I am, so that your brain understands the command and can focus on it. And we have a yes brain. So if you give it one strong command, the answer is yes, I want to do that. So we really value this ability of the single focus and being able to give yourself constant commands that are happening. So as soon as I hit the ball and I'm getting ready to set up for something else, I set myself up with another I am statement so that I am training my brain to have a single focus to achieve my desired outcome. And really, the gift of this constant practice is one thing at a time, really giving my brain the opportunity to focus on what I want, do it, evaluate, did it work? How do I want to make an adjustment? And what do I want next? So it is that power of journey, and it's connecting one thing at a time to really lead into the experience that we want to have versus the pressure of trying to figure it all out in this one scenario, keeping it all in my head, thinking, 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 bam, anxiety happens. So, really want to focus on how do we have a single focus for single success and the performance barrier of distractions and the anxiety of what happens when we get distracted.
I would like to share with you some research that was brought to my attention only a month or so ago by a brain surgeon, and he was taking a golf lesson. He went back and came back to me with some research he found that was done in Australia, and some brain surgeons in research in Australia decided to compare or evaluate during their research time elite soccer players and pianists, elite pianists in performance. And they have ways now that they can just tape a thing on your head that measures the EEG or the amount of electrical current happening in the brain at any time. And so they put those on these elite pianists and soccer players during performance, at the height of their performance. They found that the elite soccer players and the pianists in their peak performance had very little brain activity. And it was centered all in one place for each of the pianists or soccer players. Not necessarily the same place for all of them, but they were just having this tiny bit of brain action in one place. Because what I had been thinking is that, yes, we want to have a cue, and that's what the I am would be, what I would call a cue. But I wanted to make it clear to my students as we went along that wasn't a cue because they were instructing themselves what to do. It was a cue that worked because it was putting their brain in a place that it was then not interfering with their
Mm.
natural ability to perform. And that's what this research said to me, is that if we get a cue we like, it's our cue, we own it. I do that. It shuts down a lot of the electrical storm. And therefore, the natural performance that comes from the myelinated action that we've already had, whether it's for business or raising children or for a sport, will more likely give the correct messages to the body through all of the avenues that we've been gifted with to perform well. And I was so excited. I just thought, wow, maybe there is single cue proof that really does open up the brain to have other. Now, here's another thing I teach is that if they're, because it's not reactive, if they're walking into the golf ball and they have their club gripped and their brain tries to help them,
Mm.
because that's the nature of the brain. It's a problem solver.
Yeah.
And it's going to help you. The more pressure, the more it's going to give you ideas about how to move through this pressure time. So they've got a cue and they decide the cue before they walk in. But if the brain starts to get active and doubt, or try
Mm.
to have them focus on something else, back off.
Mm.
So in golf, you can. Now in other sports, you can't necessarily back off. But it's a little easier to get into the zone because you're in constant motion and reaction. So you're in there though, and there goes the brain, and it's trying to help you, but no, thank you. Step back. And I have been amazed at how my clients have reported to me how easy it is to get clear, to get back to the present, to walk in with the cue and hit it. Same thing, in a business setting or working with a child, and you start getting all these storm messages, and wait a minute, just step back, decide where you were trying to go with this, and go back in. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love the value of single focus. And as soon as we're distracted, bringing us back to what's our focus, right? If we really think about an anchor, it anchors us in what matters to us. So let's use that whenever we have a desired outcome. That's how we start all of our workouts and really anchoring our mind in, okay, what's our desired outcome? That tells my brain what I want to achieve. And then we go to work one single thing at a time to make it happen. As soon as the electrical storm shows up, all those distractions, the doubts, the fears, the noise, the thinking about other things. I loved your word, no, thank you. It's just like, no, thank you. And you step back into that's a good time for breathing or something that just grounds you, really gives you the ability to remember what's my desired outcome? What is it that I want to achieve? I want to ask about that research in terms of the quietness that happened inside peak performance. Was their brain quiet because it was on automatic and it was able just to do what it's been so well trained to do? So it didn't need a lot of brain activity?
Exactly.
Mm.
Because let's take the pianist. They had practiced that playing that particular music over and over and over and over again, so it was myelinated.
Mm.
And it was physically, if we had a brain surgery, we could point out to
Right.
where the myelination was. So it's like your brain has these computer chips,
Mm.
and that becomes like a computer chip, and it holds all that piano information. If the electrical storm is there, it won't let that chip send it to the fingers or to the ears or wherever the pianist needs to have it flow. And the same thing for any sport. It's myelinated. The hockey action, the baseball swing, the throwing the ball. It's all right there in a computer chip, and you've trained it, and you've put in so much time and energy and information, and that's highly myelinated. But if you put the electrical storm with it, it won't come through because evidently in the EEG, to have the brain give the messages to the body, whether it's your hands or whatever part of your body, or even to the part of your thinking brain, if you're in business or raising your children, that doesn't cause very much electrical storm. That's more quiet piece that happens from your memory. And maybe that's why when we do things from memory, like tying our shoes, it seems kind of automatic.
Mm,
Brain did not get busy to do that.
right.
But and so I tell my students, what's most important is you put it someplace.
Mm,
And when my students come back, and sometimes they say, oh, I was playing so well and I was winning everything and was having a great time. And then it went away.
mm,
So I watch them hit and I can see they're not doing single focus.
mm,
There's a time factor. If you do single focus, you usually move along a little faster than
mm,
standing there to
mm.
think.
Yeah.
So I say, what are you focused on?
Mm,
And they will say, oh, I thought after a while it would just become a habit and I wouldn't have to focus.
mm.
So even if it's just a cue of happiness, I mean, some of my people find happiness smooth. I mean, a chocolate bar, they find something that puts their brain someplace that they then can be released to perform.
Yeah, I love the quietness is actually what produces the peak performance. And it's inside the quiet that we are our strongest. And so that's a beautiful thought for every part of our life. Inside sport, being able to have a quiet mind means a productive and strong mind. To be able to, in life, have that quiet mind, to be able to think about what's important and put some steps in order to achieve it. I want to talk about anxiety, because that is really what causes the storm. Is as soon as the storm hits, I've got anxiety of how do I get to my quiet mind? Where's my quiet mind? What's happening? What, as if we have no power. And I so value the ability that we are empowered to quiet our mind, to take a step back, to focus on single focus. Like, we got this. We just have to get out of our own way. So in sports life coaching, we say anxiety needs action. The minute that you have anxiety, it's a storm, it's a lot, it's too much action happening. We need you to pick an action to do it. So, for instance, if I'm anxious about having a conversation, I need I need an action. So I'm going to prepare for that conversation. I'm going to have a single focus about something. So anxiety is a storm, a lot of information, and action is one single focus that I can give my brain so that it quiets it.
Boy, do I agree with that. I call it going down the rabbit hole. Because once you start that anxiety, once you start this, oh, well, I'm not going to pay attention to that. And then another, well, I'm not going to pay attention to that. Now you got all those thoughts of I'm not paying attention to what I was paying attention to, instead of just stepping back and going to single focus. And people that I know that are very open with me because we're good friends who have anxiety, um, they have tried to manage it by overthinking it. They think they think they can process more and more thoughts, and that's how they'll get through it. And that's not really the way that it's proven to do it. It's backing off, don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't try to overanalyze it. I have a saying for my golfers: you hit a shot you don't like, you say something. Okay, I didn't like it, or I had the face open, or whatever. You say something short, and then you close the door.
Love it.
You just don't go don't overanalyze it, because now you got to go hit another shot and
Yeah.
you're going to still be thinking about that last shot and your brain's going to be in a storm. So shut the door after you react to it,
Mm.
move on.
Boy, what a gift. The forward focus is really powerful. What can we learn anytime that we do something that's not fabulous or not a 10 or something we regret or doesn't go the way we want? Great opportunity to learn. What did
Mm-hmm.
I learn from that? I never want to do that again, or that was terrible, or I suck, or whatever comes up.
That's
Okay,
right.
great. The gift of learning. Thank you for that moment. And then leaning into forward focus based on what I've learned. What do I want now? And we can win every moment. We can win our day. This is how we're empowered to really use that single focus to set us up to win our day, win our lives. We have the power. That's really the gift of understanding how to manage our minds for peak performance.
Yeah, and I find it too for myself and for people I work with. I often if my day is not terribly planned, if your day is planned, you're going to go boom 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 and boom boom boom, and the day will be over. But sometimes your day isn't that planned, or you don't like some of the plans in the day. And what I try to do is decide, okay, today I am going to accomplish this. So I get a single focus just on how my day is going to go for me, doing something like I'm going to really be patient today because I know it's going to be needed, or I'm going to do that one thing that has been sitting in the corner at my house because I know I'll have an extra half hour and I'm going to get that done. And then at the end of the day, if I had a focus like that, I evaluate it, and
Mm,
if I didn't have it, I pick one
yeah.
and say, what did I do that really made a difference for me? Very selfish. What
Mm,
did I do that really made a difference for me today? And usually, a lot of times, it's like I had some friends move back to Phoenix this week, and they needed a ride from the airport. And one of them's not feeling too well, so that they were very grateful that I'd be willing to pick them up rather than trying to find a ride. And it was a long way. I had to drive them because they live out of the city. And that was the greatest thing I'd done for Christmas, is to
uh,
be able to spend the day with my friends, helping them out and having them, have a better day for what they had to
mm,
do, go through the airport and all of that. So I really think that the single focus of what can I accomplish, and then what did I accomplish that was
mm,
a single focus, because that can kind of help set us up for, oh yeah, I did that. I bet I can do that again tomorrow or
mm.
something like that.
Well, team, it's up to you. We are going to pass this gift of single focus to you. I love the power of one. I mean, one, we can do it. We can do one thing. We can learn one thing. We can evaluate one thing. We can pick one thing that matters for a meeting, for the moment, for practice, for the day, for our relationships. What a gift. And Carrie, thank you for the gift of your mind, how you've learned to manage it, and the winning strategies that you've given us as tools.
You bet. And it just occurred one more thing to me that I was going to say earlier, and that is that when we're coaching, especially when we're coaching our family, um, or our children, we need to give them the quiet space. Because if we are, and then and a lot of my golf students, whether they're male or female, they have their spouse or other friends that do that. And
Mm.
they just keep up the banter, when they're on the golf course or when they're practicing. And so from the beginning, I really train my students to say, take your own space and tell others that aren't giving you their space that, just slow it down a little bit, like maybe one thing every half hour. Don't insult them. Everybody wants to be a coach, but try to give them space to reflect and have their own quiet space.
Wow, huge winning strategy, the power of quiet and just how that sets us up to really be able to honor who we are, what's important to us, and hear that one single focus that we're committed to. So, Carrie, thank you very much. Team, it's up to you. I'm excited to hear what your one single focus is, what you're committed to evaluating, determining whether it's a win or a loss for you, and figuring out, okay, what am I going to do different to really win my life? So, Carrie, thank you so much. Team,
Carla,
go out and enjoy your single focus.
it was great. Thanks.